We got Air Force going on the road to take on San Jose State. It's a 4 p.m. Mountain Time game on FS1. Air Force, coming off another close, tough loss, this time to Army. San Jose State getting a huge victory against Hawaii at home a week ago. San Jose State's in a situation where they have to win out the rest of the season. They can't afford to slip up any game. Certainly not a game like Air Force that's at the bottom of the Mountain West right now. Uh, a tough team though, nonetheless. Air Force 2-6 on the season, 1-4 in Mountain West play, but still just very dangerous team to play. They're always going to give you their best effort. And San Jose State, still only 3 wins on the season, 5 losses, but the games they've won, they look great in against New Mexico, against Hawaii last week, and they did in a way where just complete dominance from an offensive standpoint. It's Walker Egan again. After a slow start to the season, he's put up some huge numbers in the second half of the season, and he still very much looks like the best quarterback in the Mountain West from your typical pocket passer stance, and he may be the top quarterback selected from the Mountain West in next year's draft. As for the Spartans, they're 2-2 on the season. They can. There's a path for them to get to bowl eligibility, but they're gonna have to truly win these crucial games. They have to win 3 of their next 4 games. That includes this Air Force matchup. They got to beat Nevada, which 2 very doable games if where the Mountain West is at with those 2 teams. And from there, they got to pick off either the current leading Mountain West team in San Diego State, or they have to beat another team that's already achieved bowl status in Fresno State that's still competitive and finds a way to win in sort of a quirky way with their offensive passing game. Back to this matchup, it's Liam Zarka. He's played well up until this point, up until last week, but it seems like he sort of lost some steam in his past few weeks, and putting the team on your back and their physicality with Zarka being their leading rusher and sort of having to do everything, it takes a toll on him, and certainly it seems it's done that for him the past couple of weeks. As for Walker Egan, 2,600 yards, 17 touchdowns on the season. The running game, they find a multitude of different ways to get the running game going with a trio of different backs. Scudero is a legitimate receiving threat. Air Force, if they let him get open, he's going to be getting a bunch of yards after catch. A team that started their season with, Floyd Chalk and Jabari Bates as their go-to backs have sort of found a new duo in Lamar Radcliffe and Steve Chavez Soda, the freshman. So they have plenty of guys that can get it done for them running the ball. And when you have a passing attack like the Spartans do, it's effective, and opposing defenses have to be wary of it. Still a team that averages about 26 points per game, the Spartans do. They're -1 on the turnover ratio. They have a good enough defense at times, but of course they're a 5-loss team, so they let teams get away from them, and if they're not matching score for score, they find themselves down in that game and unable to come back. Their last 5 games have been decided by less than a touchdown, so they're in close matchups where the passing attack can be effective and dominant, and the running game can complement that, or they can see their defense just unable to stop anybody and the team getting the best of them. Similar story for Air Force, but in Air Force's case, they've only won that battle 2 times on the year, 1-4 in conference play. Most noticeably, Zarka's turnovers have been ramping up the past few weeks. He's got 5 interceptions now on the season. A team that averages about 34 points per game, but they're -4 on the turnover ratio. This is a game that seems like it's going to come down to the secondary of the Falcons, and I don't know if they'll be able to keep up with what San Jose State's going to have for them on Saturday. Walker Egan has lit some teams up. Even in games they've lost, he's lit teams up. He got the best of New Mexico. He got the best of Hawaii, who had middle of the road defenses. Well, Air Force's defense has been completely lackluster this year, and it could be an ugly game. San Jose State comes in this with a 3.5 point spread. Over under on this is 66.5. They're projecting a lot of points in this game, and I could see that. I don't know if the Falcons are able to stop the Spartans' offense from having their way, and you know the Spartans having a decent defense. I could see the Falcons scoring plenty in this one as well. I'm not sure how close this game's going to be. Uh, on one hand, I could see San Jose State, completely getting them out of this one, sometime in the second half. But at the same time, uh, this feels like one of those games that San Jose State could slip up on, and a game that they really can't afford to lose if they want to see a bowl game in this season. Uh, they could slip up against this Air Force team, and Air Force could catch them off guard at home, and at that point it'd be ugly for Spartans fans. It's Air Force going on the road to take on San Jose State. It's a 4 p.m. Mountain Time game on FS1. Be sure to check this one out. We got Nevada going on the road to take on Utah State. It's a 5:30 Mountain Time game on CBS Sportsnet. Both these teams coming off of bad losses. Nevada, typical story. They're 1-7 on the season. Got handled. At times, looked like they can compete with Boise State. Kept it close, but the end result was a 21-point loss. As for Utah State, they got hammered on the road against New Mexico. A game where it seems like they just fell apart completely. Utah State comes into this one 9.5-point favorites. The over/under on it's 53.5. The team that needs this win badly is Utah State. They're 4-4 in the season, still very much in this to get to a bowl game. 2-2 in conference play. They're in a precarious situation where if they win the rest of their games, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they can be competing for a Mountain West title game. As crazy as that seems. The Wolfpack 1-7 on the season, 0-4 in conference play. They're just looking for any sort of win, some sort of optimism to finish their season. I don't know if they get it here this weekend. Bryson Barnes had, one of his worst performances last week to New Mexico, but he's still one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the Mountain West with his mobile ability. The fact that he can rely on guys like Braden Pagan and Miles Davis to ease the load off of him. And Utah State, they average about 31 points per game. They're +1 on the turnover ratio. Very much a competitive team in most of their matchups. As for Nevada, they're averaging about 14 points per game, -13 on the turnover ratio. Between Chubba Purdy and Carter Jones, they got 14 picks on the season. It's weird. They'll have decent drives where they can get in the opposing team's side of the field, but they do not end those drives well at all, and usually ends in a turnover of some sort. I'd like to think that the Aggies should handle this game fairly well, but it's conference play, and a team like Nevada, on a Friday night matchup, their last outing was able to at least appear to give Boise State their best effort, and even though it ended up being a 21-point loss for them, it seemed like there were moments where they could have got the better of Boise State and at least kept it competitive. I think Bronco Mendenhall and Bryson Barnes, this Utah State team rebound, look for a huge victory, and at that point, you're one game away from bowl eligibility. You're 3-2 on the season, and you're still within reach of those other teams. That 6 wins on the season, 6-5 wins on the season, and you're right there with them in striking distance. I think you're going to have to look for John Miller to have a big day. He's going to have to pressure Carter Jones or whoever's lining up under center and really pressure them throughout. And at that point, maybe you can get one of their famous turnovers, interception or fumble or some sort, and really help your team, your offensive possessions out, and control the ball from start to finish. It's Nevada going on the road to take on Utah State. It's a 5:30 Mountain Time game on CBS Sportsnet. Be sure to check this one out. We got UNLV going on the road to take on Colorado State. It's a 7:30 Mountain Time game on FS1. UNLV can't afford to drop another loss to a conference game. Definitely not to Colorado State, who's 2-6 on the season. UNLV's loss, to Boise State was acceptable. That was expected. Their loss to New Mexico at home a week ago, they didn't see that coming, and it definitely hurts them. And now they're competing with 4 or 5 teams to hopefully end up in a Mountain West title game in December. UNLV comes in as 4.5 point favorites. The over under on this one 62.5. As good as UNLV's offense has looked, throughout the season and certainly at times, and the defense has just sort of let them down. Only 2 losses on the season. Come to some pretty good teams that we're finding out now in New Mexico and Boise State, but still their defense has let up too many points, and last weekend was a result of that. They definitely need to tighten up the defense. It's a team that still gets their fair share of stops and turnovers, but they just have to stop teams from scoring completely. It's not enough to rely on crucial turnover for UNLV, but just get stops consistently. UNLV has no problem scoring. They can do it in a hurry. We've seen that with Calandra and Jaden Thomas. If they don't really tighten up this defense, they're going to slip up again sometime in this season. Now, I don't know if it's coming to a 2-6 team in Colorado State that just doesn't look like they're anywhere near competitive at this point. They got shut out 28-0 against Wyoming 2 weeks ago, and now they're coming up against still arguably the second best team in the Mountain West in the Rebels. Anthony Calandra is still one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the Mountain West. Dual threat quarterback that can really take advantage if he sees wide open room. Jaden Thomas is still a huge threat with his feet. Jaden Bradley is a huge target for Calandra, and he can get downfield in a hurry. As for Colorado State, Jackson Broussard's look better at times, but still just has not been enough to get that offense going. Team that's averaging 19 points per game, -1 on the turnover ratio. The only certainty is that Colorado State does not keep the game close. They've lost by double-digit margins in the past 5 weeks. Dan Mullen's going to have them back on track. I think they get the 7th win of the season this week, and they handle Colorado State with ease just to prove a point. Said a statement that they're the real deal. Last week was a slip-up, and they're ready to win out the rest of the year. It's UNLV going on the road to take on Colorado State. It's a 7:30 Mountain Time game on FS1. Be sure to check this one out. Certainly our game of the week. We got San Diego State going on the road to take on Hawaii. It's a 9 p.m. Mountain Time game on Mountain West Network. You got the league leader right now in San Diego State, 7-1 on the season, going on to take on Hawaii, 6-3 on the season, 3-2 in conference play. San Diego State enters this one 6.5 point favorites. The over/under on this is 50.5. Hawaii dropping a crucial game against San Jose State a week ago. Now they're in a position where they really can't afford to lose anymore if they want to finish out top 3, 2 or 3 in the Mountain West. San Diego State being the unlikely number 1 seed right now, 7-1 of the season, 4-0 in conference play. They've just handled any obstacle in front of them. Despite a rather lackluster offense, most particularly at the quarterback position, Jaden Denegal, despite throwing 2 picks last weekend, still won the game for him. He's looked like a game manager throughout the year, and it's been enough for them to get to the position where they're at. Lucky Sutton is a legitimate beast. He leads the charge for this offense. 820 yards on the season, 8 touchdowns rushing. Offense that averages 29 points per game. They're +6 on the turnover ratio. Now they got to go up against a good Hawaii offense led by Michael Aliato, who's played well the past few weeks, and despite their slip up last week against San Jose State, still very much a deep threat. Aliato's got 2,100 yards passing on the season, 15 passing touchdowns, 6 picks on the season. Landon Sims and Cam Barfield have been reliable running backs, sort of making it a little more balanced. Hawaii averages 29 points per game. They're -7 on the turnover ratio. Their toughest test of the season is surely going to be the San Diego State defense, a team that does not give up many points. A similar situation where Hawaii lost 2 points to Fresno State. This may be similar in the aspect that San Diego State doesn't have the most explosive offense, but they defense that gets stops, gets turnovers, and really keeps it in the game for them and only requires the offense to do so much. The key for Hawaii's going to be stopping the running game from San Diego State. If they can do that, they can hopefully separate themselves, put themselves in a good position. If they can get up, a score or so on the Aztecs, that's going to favor what the Rainbow Warriors can do the rest of the way. But I'm not so sure you want to get into a close, tightly contested game with the Aztecs that has a dominant defense. This is also a game where, if Hawaii drops this game, that's going to put them behind Fresno State and New Mexico. They just can't have that right now. They need to continue on winning, keep themselves within striking distance of that, 2 spot in the Mountain West. The first true test for San Diego State going up against a explosive offense. It's also a great test for Ali Hado and this offense, going up against the best defensive team in the conference and the most likely Mountain West title champions right now. This is certainly a game to stay up late for through the wee hours at San Diego State, going on the road to take on Hawaii. It's a 9 p.m. Mountain Time game on Mountain West Network. Be sure to check this one out.